Most everybody here came from somewhere else looking for the quality of life that this area has to offer. But I do agree, some of the frustration is, please don't come here and try to change here. In this video today, we are going to talk about change. And specifically, I want to talk about 5 big changes that are coming to the North Idaho area. Now, these are just my opinion. There's nothing set in stone, but based on my research and what I'm seeing in talking to other people, I believe these changes are coming to North Idaho. So you'll want to stay tuned so you can be prepared for the changes that are coming. Let's get after it right now. Number 1, increased population and development. The North Idaho has experienced rapid population growth, particularly in areas like Coeur and Post Falls. This influx of people is leading to increased development, including new housing, businesses, infrastructure. This impacts traffic, housing costs, and the overall character of the region. Rapid population growth in North Idaho has experienced a significant influx of new residents, particularly in urban areas like the Coeur d'Alene Post Falls, Rafton, Hayden that we talked about. The growth is straining existing infrastructure and resources, leading to increased traffic, housing shortages, and competition for jobs. Idaho population has been growing and increasing 6.2% from 2020 to 2023. The state's population grew by an average of 1.8% per year between 2010 and 2022. North Idaho, this northern region of Idaho, is Idaho's second most populated region. The largest city in the region is the Coeur d'Alene, which is located 33 miles east from Spokane, Washington. Population of the Coeur d'Alene area increased from 35,005 people in 1969 to 183,290 in 2022. Now, I know from 2022 to 23, there was about a little over 9,000 in growth. Not got the statistics yet from 2003 to 2024, but I know we're continuing to grow, and this obviously is putting a strain on a lot of things that we're seeing in the area, like little things like traffic. You add an additional 20, 30,000 cars on the road over the course of just the last few years. That does increase a significant amount of traffic that we see here. And let's face it, Coeur d'Alene was never built to be a big city. When they laid out the infrastructure of this town, it was not built to have a lot of traffic. And so that does cause some congestion, cause some frustrations, I know, and I know they're trying to work around some of that and figure out some answers for the future, but just know that there are some growing pains that we're dealing with here. Let's move on to number 2. Number 2, infrastructure challenges. Rapid population growth and development can significantly strain existing infrastructure. As more people move into an area, the demand for essential services such as transportation, water supply, education, all increases. Roads become congested, leading to longer commute times and increased population. Water systems may struggle to meet growing demand. And, we're seeing that even now, like in the Spirit Lake area, where they have a moratorium on new building because they have not got the water and sewer systems up to par yet to handle the new influx of people. So we are seeing some strain in some of these areas like Kokolala that struggle, especially on the south side of the lake where there's not a lot of water. There is a strain there on those water systems. So we are seeing it in some of these areas, probably seeing it in more areas than we know about. It just hasn't been bad enough yet to be brought to our attention, but just know there are some issues that are going to be going on and are being created. And so this is something we're going to have to, North Idaho will need to invest heavily in infrastructure, including roads, bridges, water systems, and schools. This is, it's going to require a lot of significant planning and funding. We're seeing that already with our school systems, where you look at Priest River, where they just didn't have enough money and had to close down their school and ship the kids to other areas. I know that there's an increased strain on funding. When you start adding in new kids, you got to have money for the programs. You got to have teachers. You got to have security. You got to have all these things that go along with the school so we can provide education to these kids. And so I believe that's very important. My kids are out of school, so I no longer have to do it, but I'm a big supporter of education. And so those are some things we're going to have to really look at as we continue to grow. These are going to be some challenges with our infrastructure. Hi, if this is your first time to the channel, go ahead and please subscribe below, tap the bell so you can be one of the first to be notified every time I talk about anything going on here in the North Idaho area. My name's Reed Wilson with Living North Idaho Life. I'm a realtor and avid outdoors person up here in the North Idaho area. I love the North Idaho area for the quality of life here. We talk to people every week, every day, looking to make the move for a change in quality of life and love what we have to offer up here in the Coeur d'Alene area, North Idaho area. We would love to help you in any way we can by answering any of your questions and getting you the information you need to make a good decision on maybe if this is the place for you. So number 3, changes in the local economy. The influx of new residents and businesses can diversify the local economy. However, it can also lead to increased competition for jobs and resources. Additionally, the growing tourism industry can put a strain on local businesses and resources. While tourism remains a significant industry, North Idaho, with the help of organizations like the Coeur d'Alene Area Economic Development Corporation, is diversifying the economy to attract tech companies, remote workers, and other businesses. The CDA EDC has since 1987 assisted more than 125 companies. It's created almost 7,200 jobs and invested into the county around $722 million. The shift that's coming from this is going to lead to new job opportunities, economic growth, but it also presents challenges in terms of workforce development and housing affordability. Another big change in the economy has been changes in the housing market. Now, as a full-time realtor, I can tell you that we have seen a huge change in the housing market. I know a lot of locals here want to blame the realtors, but we don't set the pricing. We help the seller define what pricing they want, and we go off of market value based on what else has sold. Now, I get a lot of pushback from some of the locals, but I know when it comes their turn to sell their home, they're wanting the most money they can. They're not selling at the bottom dollar just to help the next person out. They're selling it at the top dollar. So, this is just supply and demand. As long as people are going to come and buying up homes and there's homes available, everybody is welcome. This is just a change that we're going to have here. And so, as far as with housing, the growing population is putting pressure on the housing market, leading to rising prices and reduced availability. Again, supply and demand. It's just basically economics, especially for affordable homes. So, a lot of these lower homes, but unfortunately, a lot of our first-time home buyers, the young families are being priced out. It's hard to find a home up here under $400,000. I don't know exactly what income you need to be making, but it's probably somewhere around $100,000 to $400,000 home, depending on what kind of debt you have. You could probably do it a little cheaper, depending on down payments, but it is hard for a new struggling family to come in and try to buy a home here in this area, and they're being forced over into areas like the Spokane area where you can still buy homes for that $200,000 to $300,000 range and get a starter home. So those are some things to think about. It has made it difficult for locals to find housing, and it may help contribute to some gentrification in certain areas. So, and not only that, with the rise of housing prices, taxes always follow. So, we talk a lot about our young people trying to find affordable housing. Well, we also have our retired people, elderly people, many that are on a fixed income that now are having to, some have to downsize or move to areas where the taxes aren't quite as expensive, so they can afford to have housing and live. So this is a big problem. It's not going to get solved overnight. Everywhere is seeing higher housing costs. It's not just here. A lot of the big problem is back when we had the recession, builders quit building, and there just are not enough homes nationwide to house people. And so that does cause a strain. So we are seeing this nationwide, but our prices have significantly raised here. A lot of the bigger money coming in, being able to purchase prices, with the influx of people, again, supply and demand, prices went up. There was a lot of people who benefited from that as they sold their properties. They were not complaining, but a lot of the other people that are just trying to live here and retire here and afford to be here have felt the impact of this. And so just keep that in mind. I know there's some frustration out there with the housing, but hopefully it'll get solved and over time. And as we get more and more housing, again, with more housing, we're going to have more options out there and prices will come down. That is indeed a big problem here in the area, so it's one that I thought I'd touch upon. Number 4, let's move on. Environmental impact. So increased pressure on natural resources and potential for habitat loss. I don't know that we're seeing a strain on that yet. I probably should have done a little more research on that. Maybe talk to Fish and Game. I don't know if things are getting hunted out, but I know there's a lot more hunters out here today. I don't hunt anymore. Now I'm sure that, there's a lot more hunting, a lot more competition for permits and all that kind of stuff. So just know that, and then as we keep building into areas, it pushes habitat into other areas. So we're probably going to see some habitat loss. The rapid development and increased population density can have a negative impact on the environment, including air and water quality, as well as wildlife habitat. Sustainable development practices will be crucial to minimize these effects. Number 5, social and cultural changes. Growing diversity of residents leading to cultural shifts and potential social challenges. Community identity, balancing the desire for growth with preserving the region's unique character. I know there's a lot of frustration with that, and we hear every day how from people who lived here for many years, as far as I could see, the forests, no traffic, all these things that we're hearing. So this balance of growth and trying to preserve, this North Idaho quality of life is going to be a tough one. We have seen a lot of that change, as far as even in downtown Coeur d'Alene, where that identity of that area, I believe, has changed dramatically from what it used to be. And it's pushed a lot of people out because of, a lot of the challenges with the growing population, the change in the identity down there, all those things that, we did a video on, the 5 reasons people, the exodus of Coeur d'Alene, why people are leaving, so those play into some of these things here, but just keep that in mind. Healthcare access, expanding healthcare services. We've got a great hospital here, and I think we have some really great healthcare here. If I'm not seeing something, but I've always been able to get the healthcare I need. Kootenai does a great job. We've got other hospitals here. We've got, very close to Spokane Valley, where there's medical services. So just know, and then, I've been seeing some of these smaller, dock in the box type stuff, Instacares pop up. Athol now has one. I think that's great, but we're going to continue to have to increase our health care based on the needs of a growing population here. As the population grows and diversifies, North Idaho's social and cultural landscape is changing. So it can lead to increased diversity, new perspectives, and potential social tensions. We see that. If you have certain license plates on your cars, maybe you're getting yelled at in traffic, or occasionally I get that comments on my channels here where they assume that I'm the total reason everybody's moving to this area. So just know there is some pushback, there is some frustration by some of the locals, but let's remember, unless people made a treaty with the Indians and their family's been here that long, bought the land from the Indians, and they came from somewhere else. And most everybody here came from somewhere else looking for the quality of life that this area has to offer. But I do agree, some of the frustration is, please don't come here and try to change here. Come here and try to adapt and be a part of the North Idaho culture, and understand that there is a lot of love for this area. It's a beautiful area, and would love to preserve it just as long as we can. So it's going to be important to foster understanding and inclusivity as the region evolves, but we're going to need understanding on both sides, and just know that we are a growing area. There are going to be changes. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. We're going to have these changes coming in, and be prepared. that is my 5 big changes that I think are coming. If I've missed something, let me know. Please leave a comment below, like and share our video. If you've got questions about anything that I missed or anything I touched upon, feel free. Me and my team, we're never too busy for you. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, whatever we can do. Would love to help make your move to North Idaho a smooth transition, and we'll see you on the next video.